amazing is this guy just come into the middle of nowhere for a year or two to help these people out, and that was quite something. And from there, we spent the next 4 days driving about 12 to 13 hours every day to try and get from Zambia up to Rwanda, and we had like this old National Geographic map book to get us through. Driving through Tanzania, we were just driving down a dirt road, and there was a fork in it, and the fork wasn't on our map. So we went to the local villages and said, "Is this the right way?" And they said, "Yes." We're like, "Sure, it's not that way." I just actually didn't speak English, so we took a thumbs up and said, "I thought, okay, the sun's setting there. We want to get north, so let's try and get that way." And it ended up working, but the road disappeared. It had been washed away, so we had to end up driving about 10-15 meters parallel to the road in the bush, just making sure that we kept sight of what was left of the road that had been washed away on our right until we got out of it. Eventually we got to Rwanda. It's called the land of the 1,000 hills. It's just tons of beautiful mountains. The capital, Kigali, it looks a bit ramshackle, but it's actually quite a nice, well, the center of it's pretty nice. And well, everyone knows it's should know about the genocide there. About 1 million people lost their lives in Rwanda, and that church there, 2,500 people alone got killed in the church. And when we were in Kigali, we went to the genocide memorial, and there's 500,000 people buried there. It's quite somber. When you're walking around, you see lots of people with missing arms, legs, things like that. So it's quite a reminder that people are really moving on. And we just found it amazing when we were in the capital city, Kigali. Walking around, we're looking at our map, and people just come up to us and say, "Can we help you? Where do you want to go?" And then we're trying to find a restaurant we want to go for one evening. She stops on the side of the road and asks the chap, "How did you get there?" So he jumps in the car, took us there. So it's just amazing to see how friendly people are. No matter what they've been through, everyone else tries to improve their lives. And we got to the town where these guerrillas were. It's quite a contrast. Kigali is quite, I guess, culturally quite cultured. They had the Belgians were the initial rulers there, and then huge French influence. And the French are like promoting the scare of the English dominating Africa. So they promoted all the Francophonic speaking countries, and they really helped Rwanda out a lot. So like you have cafe culture, I went to cafes, and there's people having their croissants and their coffee. And it's quite impressive to see that in the capital, and get to the place where it's in the middle of nowhere, where the guerrillas are below mountains. You're walking down the road, and people cross the road to actually come and see you, because they haven't seen hardly any white people. They went to the market, and the ladies would come up and touch my arms. They just can't believe it, but it's blonde hair on my arms. It was quite strange to be the subject of such. Well, we were on sightseeing, but I felt like the animal being looked at. From there, I went up to Uganda, beautiful country, very land of lots of contrasts. From the lots of lakes, there's lots of crater lakes there from extinct volcanoes, and into savanna type area. So we camped here on the border of Uganda and the DRC. At the time, there's a lot of war going on in the DRC, so a little bit worrying, but not too bad. And the basic thing in this game park is one of the few game parks in the world where lions climb trees. So this friendly conservationists pointed us the direction where these lions were. So we went there and we sat below this tree for 3 hours. There were 2 lions there initially, and it ended up being another 3 or 4 lions climbed up the tree. So eventually they had the whole pride of 6 lions just sitting in the tree relaxing. So it's quite something. And yeah, I mean, it's also Last King of Scotland's made it famous for country with famous. I mean, you saw Idi Amin in there if you watched the film. And I guess there are hangovers from the past, but it's really progressed quite a lot. And also, like, the whole contrast is quite amazing. In the capital city, we found an Italian restaurant, and they had a 24-hour takeaway gelato. So in the middle of Africa, most of the Italians have set up, and they've got a choice of 20 different gelatos you can have. It's just amazing. Like, every day we drive past, they would pop in and have a couple. I think what capital city of an African country you got with this was quite something. But then it had the worst roads we've ever seen. There are no traffic lights; they're just a roundabout, and the rule there is the biggest car and the loudest hooter wins. So I had a big car, so basically come into a roundabout, you like wrestle your way through, and I hit a few taxis, but nothing they could do. From Uganda we went to Kenya. These had the worst roads in Africa or countries you went through by a long way. And this is, well, for example, that's a road there. The road's so bad that people drive on the left-hand side and the right-hand side of it because you can't actually drive on the road, it's so pothole. And that was the case with a lot of roads there. We first camped in the Masai Mara, which is an extension of the Serengeti, which is probably a bit more famous. And we were lucky to be there during the wildebeest migration. And we were only there for 3 days and we saw all of this. And this was the wildebeest getting taken out by a croc.
Wow.
Pretty gruesome, but it was pretty exciting to watch. What's that? I was wearing the beard today. That's what it was like watching. Yeah, also in Africa, lots of beautiful sunsets. That's synonymous with Africa. And that was again about 150 meters from our campsite. So you're always aware that you have to be pretty careful wherever you're camping, that you don't go to the blue during the night. And we're so lucky to see people actually come to the Masai Mara and spend a week there and never see a river crossing like we did. And we just drove up there, 5 minutes later they crossed. Pretty cool. And then went 100 meters down and saw the crocs killing them, so we were pretty lucky there. And and I went up to Laikipia Plateau, which is a game area north of Masai Mara as well. This is Lake Nakuru, I think. Lots of flamingos there. It's like a salt saline lake. And lots of flamingos. And then friends of ours have a game ranch manage a game ranch up in Laikipia Plateau. So we were lucky enough to stay with them, and it was a luxury game lodge and there's no one there, so we had full use of the facilities. And so we used that. On the way there, there's actually a war going on in the area between two tribes. Kenya's very tribal, there's about 20 different tribes there. And when we got there, we saw people herding cattle up the road on the way back. And when we got there, our friends had told us there's actually a war between the two tribes, and the one tribe had encroached more and more south. And then you can buy an AK-47 in Kenya with a fully loaded clip for $100 US. It's pretty easy to arm yourself. So all these guys had apparently about 100 meters inside where the cattle were walking, they're just carrying this, and they usually have an armed militia just following the cattle to make sure no one else takes it over. And they got to such a bad extent that they actually had the Kenyan military come in, and they were mortaring the positions of these tribespeople, just try and get them out of the area. But we weren't too affected. And I guess when we went a bit further back, I saw it was my mother-in-law in the boat with Camilla. We went to this town called Lamu, which is in the far north of Kenya. It would be a nice little drive up there. We drive out of this coastal town, about 20 minutes out, there's an army roadblock. And they told us, there's Ethiopian bandits been raiding further up north, so you need to take an armed soldier with you just in case you get attacked. So we had a guy with an M15 sitting on the seat next to me for a 3-hour drive up north, which is a bit scary. And we went to this one village, and this cattle were crossing the road, and this guy started hitting our car with a stick. So I just looked at him and thought, get out and sort him out. And you got the gun. He's like, get out of there, get out of here. So it didn't make things any better. But when we first came to Kenya, we had a bit of a mishap. We were driving along, and then the car suddenly started making a noise, hit the road, and our right wheel tire, the rear tire, went past us about 100 meters into the ditch. So we just driving through a town, unfortunately going quite slowly, and I was like, shit, that's South Africa trip over. And so Camilla and I just there standing looking at the car, thinking, what on earth are we going to do? We're 5-6 hours from Nairobi. How do we get out of this? And this guy walks up to me and says, hi, my name's Jeff. I'm a mechanic, how can I help you? That's awesome.